Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of All Now with Alex. I'm your host, of course, Alex. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Bob Thompson. How you doing today, sir?
I am excellent, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. I can't complain at all. Can't complain at all. So, can you give the people a quick background about yourself, and then we'll get into the questions?
Yeah, okay. I live and grew up in Chesapeake, Virginia. I'm almost 52. I am a real estate agent by trade and a motivational speaker and coach.
Okay. That's pretty interesting hobbies that well, I wouldn't say hobbies. I don't want to call anybody what they do as a hobby, but different careers, career paths. Real estate agent versus being a you said a life coach, correct?
Yeah, a life coach, mentor, and I was actually a chemist for 9 years before I got into real estate. So
Okay.
I did that transition too at 35.
Okay. Cool. So I think this is the episode they'll definitely enjoy. So we're gonna jump straight into it. So speaking of chemistry, what initially drew you to the field of chemistry before jumping into the real estate?
Honestly, I wasn't drawn to the field of chemistry. I would love to tell you I was. Um, I got a job on the actual plant itself as just a grunt worker, just scraping concrete, working with chemicals and all that. I was in the on the plant for about a year and a half, and because I'm smart, they went ahead and moved me into the lab. So I was the last person grandfathered into the lab without a chemistry degree at all.
Okay.
And I stayed there for 9 years. At about year six, I started going back to school. I was going to get an environmental protection degree and discovered very quickly that that is not where I wanted to be. And started buying rental property and discovered that I loved the hunt and the process and all of that.
Okay.
And my ex wife and I put a 3 year plan together. We got done in two. And I walked out of that chemical plant in 2007 at 35 years of age. That's the first time I'd ever had one full time job, was when I went into real estate full time.
Okay. That's pretty interesting. Okay. So um so what lessons did you really learn from transitioning from chemistry to real estate?
The biggest thing that I learned, and it is quite honestly, is that I always tell my people to, work in the dark. Don't tell people what you want to do, because people are so negative. I
Yes.
had so many people tell me that I was wrong. Let me put it this way, and you got to figure this is 2007. I was making about 45 grand a year, making decent money, had benefits and all of that, 12-hour shifts, and could have stayed there another 15, 20 years easily. And everybody told me I was wrong for leaving. You're in the middle of a recession. You're never going to make it as a real estate agent. You're making a mistake. You're hurting your family. You're doing this. You're doing that. People are just naturally negative and don't want to see you succeed.
Yes.
I mean, they even felt that way when I left a grocery store to go work at the chemical plant. I remember having people being like, well, you could be a grocery manager one day. I mean, is that really the heights that we want to go, to be produce manager at Harris Teeter? We can't shoot not that there's anything wrong with that. And it's a fine profession. You got to do what's best for you. And I respect that. And I've been there, but nobody, it's fascinating how people are so negative. Even people that you think would know better and do better just don't. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the grocery manager thing, that's something that you may want to do after you retire, when you're on the backside of your life and you just want something to do, like oh yeah, I'll go be a produce manager. You know what I mean? But
And sometimes you got to do, or you got kids and you haven't had time to find something else. I think a lot of people don't, either because of imposter syndrome, or because they don't want to take the chance. They won't stretch themselves and figure out what they really want in this world. And I'm proud of the fact that I had an epiphany and I was able to put a plan together and go through it and make it happen. Whether nobody can say, even if I failed tomorrow and never sold another house, whether anybody likes it or not, I did it. I succeeded and have been successful at it for 15 plus years now. And nobody can take that away from me, because I did what I wanted to do. And I'm proud of that.
right, and then not only that, if you don't do it, then you're always gonna have that what if, like, what if I would have done this, what if I would have done that. But now you already know, like, okay, well, what, even if you fail, you at least got to try. Like, at least so you can say, well, you know, I tried this. It didn't turn out to be what I thought it was gonna be, but at least I tried it. I can't say, well, what if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? You know.
Yeah, and it's opened my world up to so many things. I've been able to. I've got a friend of mine and a past client. I've been in a couple of his movies. I have. I helped him. We did this year. We did the first Virginia Black Film Festival, and I was on the board for that and helped him with that and helped set it up and run it and all of that good stuff. So I got to meet Clifton Powell as our honorary person, and I got to watch a lot of films and meet people that I never would have met. I've got an IMDb webpage because Brian needed a part, needed me to play this little silly part in a couple of his movies. And I got to do that. And I got to meet these incredible people that I never would have met if I hadn't taken the path that I took. There's just no way. I'll give you an example. Brian also runs Miami Web Fest, and I got to go down there and I got to hang out with DJ EFN and the Drink Champs guys. And I'm sitting there talking, and I'm an old school hip hop guy. So I'm sitting there talking to DJ EFN about the Lady of Rage and old school Virginia rap. And that dude's not going to remember that conversation, but I will, because it was important to me. I got to meet somebody that I really like and that I respect. And I got to meet him and all of his people. And we hung out and had a drink and just relaxed. And it was really cool. I got to meet a lady who was 6 years on the Cuban boat lift and was making a documentary about it. In what other world would I have ever met this woman? It never would have happened, So you've got to take advantage of stuff, and, you take advantage of the opportunities, and sometimes you've got to create your own. And I think a lot of us get bogged down in what we can't do. At least that's been my experience.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. And, I always tell people I'm big on, thinking positive thoughts, because positive thoughts create positive outcomes, and the same thing with negative thoughts. So, if you're thinking a lot of negativity, then that's what's going to happen more so in your life, is more negative than positive. So, it's basically like affirmations, speaking stuff into existence, things like that. Like, I'm big on that because I've seen it happen with my life. The more positive I've been, I've had a lot of positive things happen to me, So
yeah, and I'm a Les Brown guy. So Les Brown's all about stretching yourself and being hungry and doing what you need to do. And I think, we don't see the journey that people take. We only see the outcome at the end of it. And some people are perhaps changed by their experience, and maybe not always for the best. I don't know. I don't have Jeff Bezos' money, so maybe if I had billions of dollars, maybe I'll turn into a jerk one day. Maybe we'll find out. I hope we do. We probably won't. Yeah. But like when Robert Johnson started BET, nobody had any clue that he was going to do what he was going to do. He didn't know that. He just found an opportunity to buy a TV station, and then he bought another one, and then he bought another one, and then he created BET, and then it eventually, years later, mushroomed into this big thing. Unless we're in that person's inner circle, we don't see the journey. We only see the end result. We don't know all of the work and stuff that goes in behind the scenes, and all of the self-doubt and all of the everybody that tells you that you can't make it, especially if you're a quiet person and you're not trying to bang the drum. Look at Byron Allen. Nobody thinks about Byron Allen. Byron Allen started out as a TV reporter guy, and then did, there was a bunch of different TV shows over the years. Never a big controversial guy, always kept to himself. Now he's a millionaire, multimillionaire, owns a bunch of studios. He's doing his thing. Now, he's not out there beating his chest going, hey, I'm the man, but he's in the background counting his money and building his empire. And you got to give the man respect for that, because he did it on the down low, and he didn't make a big deal about it, and he got it done.
Right. Yep. I definitely agree with that. So, you've achieved remarkable success in the Hampton Roads real estate market, including, a flawless record with cash for keys transactions and partnerships with industry leaders. Can you share some insights into your approach and strategies that help contribute to your success?
Yeah. And this is what I tell any new agent, or at the end of the day, you have to be honest and be yourself. Mm-hmm. Now, as a matter of fact, I had a conversation with somebody about this earlier today. My industry has a habit of trying to push sales and beat down people and to follow a script or follow a certain way to do things. And it doesn't work. If you can't be yourself, you're not going to succeed. And sometimes you're not for everybody. My style is blunt and to the point. This is what we're going to do. This is what your house is worth. If you don't like it, don't hire me. I'm okay with that. Now, doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me. And clearly I've had success with it. And my clients will tell their friends and family, hey, Bob's a little rough around the edges, but he's going to tell you what you need to hear. And this is what he's going to do. I don't do cookie cutter stuff. I don't do branded water bottles or any of that other garbage that a lot of agents do. You're not going to see my name up in lights. There's no point to it. At the end of the day, tell me I did a good job and pay me. I want rabid fans of my work. I don't need water bottles and billboards and all of the other stuff. But for some people, that works that way. Everybody is a little bit different, but you've got to be honest and be who you are at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, and I definitely agree with that. So, that's a lot of times people aren't buying your product; they're buying into you as a person. So, you being yourself all the time and just being transparent. That's what a lot of people love the most, and that's why they can respect you more, is because you're just being yourself. You're not, oh well, you're not following this exact script, saying these exact things as everyone else. You're just being a genuine you. So.
Yeah, and I still have a passion for what I do. I had a passion when I got into it, and it was never about making millions of dollars. It was about, at worst case, as long as I made 45 grand a year, which is what I made at the chemical plant, I'd have been a happy man. Now I doubled that my first year, and I've done very well because I've had a combination of luck and some skill, and the fact that I love what I do adds a lot to it. But that was never my intention. My intention was to be happy, quite honestly, and I achieved that. So that's all I ever really wanted. And I think if people see that and and you have that passion about what you do, that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I would agree. So, with you going through everything that you went through, I mean, you've overcome significant personal challenges, including 2 heart attacks and a bypass surgery. Like, so how did those experiences shape your perspective on life and resilience?
Well, the 2 heart attacks and the bypass were all in 2018. I think what I learned is that everybody can fall down, and you just have to get yourself back up. I went from, when I rolled into 2018, I did 70 deals by myself as a solo real estate agent, which is a lot of deals. I was king of the world, bought a brand new car, new RV, single, living good, doing my thing, probably smoking one too many cigarettes, which is probably why I ended up with a heart attack in the first place. But what I learned was that I wasn't taking care of my health. And I also learned that, when you lose everything, you've got to be able to reach out and ask for help. And that's what I didn't do very quickly. That's where I failed. I tried to talk to my creditors and tell them that, hey, I'm going to have this money soon and I'm going to be able to make this right. Everybody loves you when you're paying your bills on time and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But you can damn sure bet Wells Fargo and the rest of them are going to come after you when you ain't paying your bills, and they don't want any excuses. So I had to learn that. If I had reached out to my help and my friends and family sooner, I wouldn't have got as far down as I did. And by the end of 2018, I was completely and flat broke. I mean, broke. But, all you can do is restart the process and just persistent progress. Try to do a little bit more each day and try to rebuild and move forward from there. You don't have any choice in the matter. I mean, at one point I had $600,000 in medical debt, which is insane. It's completely insane. And I had in the span of a week, I had my checking account canceled, my credit card canceled, and my car repossessed in the same week. Now, I was able to get my car back because I had to borrow money from my father. But up until that point, that day, I hadn't told anybody what was going on. Nobody had any idea that I was that flat broke. I mean, I kept trying to do it by myself and I couldn't do it. And my father got my car out of repo, and I had a buddy of mine that had to pay my rent that month because I couldn't do it. They were going to throw me out on the street.
Right. Yeah, that's always a rough situation. But obviously, you made it through it, and you maintain your success in life, which is definitely a good thing. And you're out in the world helping other people get their life on track as well, being a life coach. So that's definitely a great thing as well. So
Well, I think that added to it because when I got better, what originally had started is I wanted to mentor young agents and help them get going, and then it kind of snowballed into this thing to where I've been blessed to talk to other people and mentor and coach. I've been blessed to I gave a speech at one of the local universities, and I've got some other things lined up like that. So I'm enjoying that aspect of it, and it's something I eventually would like to, quite honestly, transition to completely when and if the time comes. But I'm a patient man, and I understand how these things work, and I just try to use the same tools that I used in the first place to share that with other people.
right. So I've always, I here recently I've been kind of looking into the becoming a life coach thing, because I've always been the person that people comes to for advice on their life, whether it be their relationship, whether it be their finances, whether it be their decisions, if they're going to take a job, not take a job, so on and so forth. So how do you go about getting into becoming a life coach? So I know I've seen things where it's like a certificate that you can get and things like that. So how do you go about that?
Well, you can certainly do that. I think for me, I have a tendency to do things the long way and kind of my own headstrong, stubborn way. And I just started writing and doing stuff. And then I found a few people that liked what I had to say that reached out to me and were like, well, we want to hear more of what you're saying. And then I started doing podcasting and things of that nature. Um, I was hooked up with an editor that really liked what I had to say. We're in the middle of the book is finished. We haven't released it yet, but I found people were like, okay, well, we like what you have to say and we want to hear more of it. And it's always something I wanted to do, but unfortunately, it's kind of like that book that sits on the shelf that you never read. And then after the experiences of 2018, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to read that book. And I'm at the point in my life, and I should have done it sooner. And I think it takes everybody to make that own decision. Honestly, there's about 10 people in this world whose opinion I really care about. And if you don't like what I'm doing, then don't like what I'm doing. I don't care because I've almost died repeatedly and I'm just not worried about it. So I'm going to do what I'm going to do. So
Right.
that's part of it. And I think for a lot of people, and myself included,
Oh shit. Lost. Okay. Yeah, I had lost you for a second there, but yeah, I got you.
oh, sorry about that. I don't know why.
No, you're all right. So can you discuss the importance of cultivating an undying spirit of persistence and how you've embodied that mindset throughout your journey?
I think without it, you're lost. I mean, my rule of thumb is, and what I preach is, again, persistent progress and doing self checks. And what it comes down to is you create the challenges and the goals in your life. So even if you don't, okay, you have, let's say, 1 through 10 that you want to get done. Okay, well, you only get 1 and 2 done. That's okay. You got 2 of them done, and you keep trying the next day, and you keep trying the next day. You can't just, if you sit back and try to solve all of your problems 1 through 20 before you even attempted the first one, you're never going to get anywhere. And
Right.
sometimes you'll meet people along the way that will help you with those challenges. And sometimes you can put a challenge aside and go back to it when you're better prepared. So let's say it's a money situation and I'm on number 7 and I need an influx of cash. Okay, well, I can't get that influx of cash. Maybe I don't have it. Whatever the case may be. Maybe it's above my pay grade. I'm going to keep working on steps 8, 9, and 10. And maybe that's more networking, or, this day and age, I can put the book out on Kindle if I wanted to for free. And I keep doing my little things that I need to do. And eventually I'll circle back around to that one challenge that I can't get over. And maybe I've got new people in my corner that can help me. I mean, I think we're blessed nowadays because 30 years ago, and again, I'm 52, my world was very small. Now I can go on the internet and I can meet people from every walk of life and learn so much. If I wanted to be a screenwriter 30 years ago, who would I have talked to? I didn't know anybody in Hollywood. It didn't exist. I would have had to figure out who to write a letter to. And now I could join a screenwriter group. I could post my own stuff, and my peers could say, hey, Bob, this is really good, or Bob, this is garbage, and maybe screenwriting's not for you. So we have to take advantage of these opportunities that the world gives us now with the internet and all of that stuff, that we can meet, what I like to call it, we can meet our tribe, our flock, our people. We can, talk to people that inspire us and jazz us up, that want the same goals. It doesn't have to be the same dudes that you hung out with from high school. If they're failing and falling all over themselves and not doing anything, sooner or later you've got to break free and get loose from those people and move on your own, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on surrounding myself with people who are like-minded like me, and then also people who are, who are trying to reach some of the same goals, or either people that's already there. So that way it motivates me to want to get to that point as well. I feel like everybody should have, those type of people around them if you want to actually improve your life, whether that be, just you improving your personality wise, or you improving your career, or whatever the case may be, like whatever aspect of your life you're trying to improve.
Yeah, and I think education is important. I mean, especially nowadays, we have so many, free book possibilities on Kindle and stuff like that, that I still, and granted, I can be frugal and cheap sometimes, so I still get several emails a day on business books that are free and stuff like that. And now I may not sit down and read that book that day, but if it's free, I'm going to add it to my Kindle, so I have a never-ending stream of books to look at. Now, I may only get one nugget out of that book. I still got one nugget that I didn't have before. And that's really all I want. I've had people call me up out of the blue and go, hey, Bob, I got one piece of information from that podcast that you did, or that one nugget of truth that I never thought about. That's as a speaker, or even doing a podcast, that's all I really want, is for one person to go, hey, I learned something from your mistakes, or hey, I thought about it a little bit differently. So I try to do things like that and learn from everybody and anybody. I pride myself on having a wide berth of friends, so I can look at things from a different perspective. Because let's be honest, when it comes to politics or race or anything, I only see things through my lens. So it's important to look outside my own lens, because how would I not see things through my own lens? I'm a middle class suburban white boy, and I always have been. So it's important that I speak and I listen and I learn from other people that may know better. And then I can go, okay, well, that makes sense, and I hadn't thought about it that way. And then I get smarter and more educated, or at worst case, I have a bit more understanding and empathy and integrity for other people that I may not have had when I was 25. I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't have.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's part of life. I mean, I tell people you can learn anything from anyone. I mean, even a kid, you can learn from a kid. So, you just got to be willing to open your ears up and listen, and be able to, soak that knowledge in there, and, and then apply it to your way of thinking and say, okay, well, now that unlocked a whole new perspective on life, so.
Yeah, or you go down the rabbit hole and go, oh, I didn't know about this, so I'm going to read up on it. I mean, I've done a lot of that type of stuff. Even just within music, you can hear stuff. I can remember, I'm dating myself here, but I can remember listening to, Public Enemy and going, oh, okay, well, they mentioned somebody that I didn't know who that was. Okay, well, I'm going to go research this person. Now I know who they are. And then you start digging, then you start looking at different things, and then it feeds and it goes, and then you have a whole new thought process on something that you may not have even thought about at all. And then you go, oh, okay, well, I get it now. That makes sense. And then you understand it. So it can be something as simple as that. Like, I know, especially in music, people get mad when somebody becomes a mainstream artist, and let's say they were underground. Well, the beauty of them becoming mainstream is that hopefully people will listen to them, learn who their influences are, and then go back to those influences. Even if Dre's covering 70s Parliament Funkadelic, you hope that somebody's going to follow that food chain down the line. Like the new Eminem single is obviously a cover of Abracadabra from Steve Miller Band. Okay, so somebody's going to go back and listen to that original song and may discover that they may like some of that style of music. So then they're going to dig a little bit deeper, and then maybe get into Led Zeppelin, which then leads them to old school, blues style, which is Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and those guys. So it's a pyramid, almost a reverse style of pyramid, to where if your ears and eyes are open, you've gone from, wow, this is Eminem's great new song. Oh my God, it came from this. Oh my God, it came from this. And then you've discovered an entire new world that you may not even known existed. And that's nothing but good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree. Um, so what does it mean to you to say yes and alter your own destiny? And how have you applied that philosophy in your personal and professional life?
I think the proof is in the things that I've done, even as simple as being in some bit parts in movies that I never would have done ever if I didn't know the people that I did or said yes to things. When I did a good job for Brian and he liked what I had to say and I helped him with real estate, and then it snowballed into a friendship, and then it became, hey Bob, I'm going to make this movie. I need somebody to play this little office part. Cool, I can do that. Hey
Right.
Bob, I need some house that I can use. Do you have anything for me? You're a real estate agent. Yeah, I've got that covered. And then sitting down and having dinner, and he's created a part and he doesn't know who to play it, and he's listening to me tell this animated story. And Brian's like, hey, I need you to play a redneck. Well, I can do that. You know, half my family's from North Carolina. I got that covered. You know, I can play the redneck part like a champ, you know. So it's that type of stuff to where, and then I go and I do that, and then I get to meet all of these incredible people that I've since cultivated a relationship with, and I still talk to, and then I get to do another movie as the same part with a, you know, within the sequel, and then, hey, I need your help with Miami Web Fest. Can you help me with that? Great, I'm on board. Let's go do it. And then we go down there and we do that. The other thing I think saying yes is you can't just get stuck in your own head and do nothing. And I'll give you an example of that. Miami Web Fest, we had about 10 or 11 interns that were part of went to Miami Film School. And we're at the cream of the crop of all of the top Miami TV radio people down there. And then one of the big nights, we made it clear to all the interns, guys, whoever you want to meet, we will introduce you to all of these important people. These are people in your industry. These are producers and movers and shakers. So I walk over and there's 5 or 6 of these interns that are playing on their phones and talking to each other. And I'm going, guys, why are you sitting here? I was like, look at all of these important people. How are you ever going to meet any of these people if you're just staring at your phone or talking to another intern? Now, it's important to make friends with these people, and it's important to, hey, maybe we can make a connection and work together on something. But meanwhile, you've got all of these important people. Now, you may be scared and you may be worried that they're going to be a jerk. So who cares? At least you'll know. Better
Right.
to know that they're a jerk. But at the same time, you may find that you have something in common with them that you never thought about, or you may have a concept that they like, or you just may vibe. Sometimes you just vibe with somebody and you're
Yeah.
just like, this is, you know, my one of my new people, and this is person that I can communicate with, or wants to see me succeed and likes my passion and goes, you know what, Joe, when the time comes and you're ready, you know, let's write this up and let's do, you know, what we need to do. And when Brian and I did, or I helped Brian with the Virginia Black Film Festival this year, we did the same thing. I made it a point of, with the interns, go talk to this person. This person is doing what you want to do. Why would you not go over there and speak to them? And if you're nervous, I will take you over there and go, hey, this is so and so. You guys talk, and then walk away. Let them do what they need to do. I mean,
Right.
when else am I going to get a chance to sit down with Clifton Powell and have a conversation with the man?
Yeah.
And let me assure you, that dude, and I know at one point they're talking about him doing like an actual speaker tour. That dude is a wildfire and is, I had a lot of respect for him beforehand. That dude is a beast of a guy and had some incredible stories and came from nothing and worked his way up to the top. And those are the type of people that you want to be around and be inspired by, because if they made it, you know, coming up from the hood in DC as a nobody and work their way up to success, you have to take your hat off and go, okay, well, what can I learn from this individual?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. You know, people, you know, there's a lot of inspiring people in this world, and you know, people just need to. A lot of people need to take the time to sit here and listen, because you'll be surprised what you learn, or you know, or what you may learn that you can apply to your life that may help your life out. You know, just by listening to their story or hearing, you know, or introducing yourself to them, you never know how they can change your life. So
yeah, and it doesn't even have to be the famous person. It can simply be the person that came from situations that were terrible or that you couldn't even imagine being in, but they made themselves a success. They got out of bad situations, even if it's just the guy that's paying his bills and raising his 3 kids and being a father. That right there is a success story. If you got out of a situation that you didn't like, or if you had, really bad parents or other situations that you brought yourself out of, those are all success stories. We just don't hear about it. We don't read about it, and it doesn't cross our mind, unfortunately, as much as it should. There's a million winners and a million speakers and a million heroes out there that the mainstream media overlooks because we've kind of been conditioned to do that, unfortunately.
yes, I definitely would agree. So as far as the life coaching, do you have any specific examples that maybe come to your mind or that's most memorable of when you helped someone navigate a significant challenge or achieve like a transformative change?
I have a couple. I would probably go, the most important one would be Alex, who's was a real estate agent who was very young and was struggling and hadn't sold anything in about 5 or 6 months. And basically what I did was just kind of watch and pay attention and then do what I do best, which is, okay, well, you need to do it this way. Or if I'm coming to the 6 o'clock call center and making phone calls, why are you not there? Why are you not putting in the time? You have to get to a certain amount of no's before you can get to a yes. But if I'm successful and I'm quote unquote your boss or your mentor, and you don't think I got better things to do on a Wednesday night at 7 o'clock than call strangers for 2 hours? But I'm doing it because, number one, it's part of my job. And number two, I'm trying to show you the right way to do it. And once it caught on that he had to do the hard work, then he was successful. The other thing was that he was doing it off of the script, very robotic. And again, like we talked about earlier, not being himself. Be yourself. You're a surfer guy. You like to surf. You live in Virginia Beach. You can surf all of the time. Be who you are. Don't try to be me. Don't be the broker. Don't be the team leader. Be Alex. Be yourself. Right. And as soon as he got that part and got comfortable talking to strangers, then he realized, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's okay, so they hang up on me. I don't know those people. They're not going to remember that they hung up on me, and nobody's going to be like, aha, you got hung up on. We're not 12, It doesn't make a difference. So that's probably my biggest one. The other thing would be, and I hate to brag on it, but I'm going to because it felt good to me, was when I did the speech at Regent University, and several of the students reached out afterwards to appreciate what I had to say. And the teacher that had wanted me to do it and asked me to do it, reached back out to me and, was honestly, you did a great job and thank you. And they really learned a lot. And I look forward to you coming back and I want you to come back. That meant a lot to me because it felt like I had done what I wanted to do. And even though I was actually nervous and I was honest about being nervous, and it's weird to sit around at my age to have a bunch of 20-year-olds calling you no sir and yes sir and realizing that I got a whole lot of gray in this thing, so I've become my father in some ways, but to get feedback from that's everything. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's the goal right there, is that somebody, even if they just got one little nugget of inspiration, or maybe they were having a bad day and that one little thing moves them forward. I know for me, to this day, when I'm having a bad day, I'm putting on some Les Brown. That's my guy. We all have people that we like, and not everybody's for everybody. I've never been a big Tony Robbins guy, but there's tons of people that love Tony Robbins. I was always a Les Brown guy, and I'll go back and listen to the same Les Brown stuff I've been listening to for 25 years because every time I do, it's just like, you know what, Les, you're right. Maybe I need to get up on my butt and get back to work and quit crying,
Yeah, no, I definitely, I would agree with that. So, I mean, yeah, especially what you're saying that, people getting one nugget from you, during like your speeches and things like that. I'm big on, slow progress is better than no progress,
Yeah.
And, changing the world one person at a time. So if you can help one person become a better person, then that person can hopefully feed it along to somebody else. And that's how the world can slowly get better because, Lord knows we need it.
I mean, and that's the beauty of our modern world, as much as some people, rag on it. And obviously things aren't always great, but that's the beauty of a podcast, that I may not even be looking for you, and I can find you at random and learn something and then get attached to it and keep learning. And then again, go down the rabbit hole and find something else interesting and keep moving forward to where, again, 30 years ago, when I was coming up, you couldn't do that. You only were told what you were told. That's how people are short-sighted, because we had no other avenues other than what perhaps our grandparents or our parents or our circle taught us and told us. We didn't know any better because we didn't have any options other than the Encyclopedia Britannica and maybe the library, to where now at a moment's notice, I can, find anything and everything and go, oh my God, there's a whole different world of thought out there that I can look into and learn new things. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. And I think that's why things are slowly, whether we see it or not, slowly and surely getting better all of the time. We may not be around for the end of that. At least I won't be. And it may not even be the next generation, but you're seeing it, and it is happening. I mean, obviously the media focuses on the negative because, let's face it, that's what media is supposed to do. And that's good clickbait. And, we all get wrapped up in all of that. But at the end of the day, the advances that we've made are a good thing, because we can learn and educate ourselves.
No, I would definitely agree. So, can you discuss maybe the role of leveraging past setbacks or failures, as stepping stones for future growth?
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, once you've been successful in anything that you've tried to accomplish, then you should know that you can do it again. And again, imposter syndrome is a big deal, and it affects me. There are days when I feel like, well, I don't have anything to say, and who am I to talk or say anything? And when I'm like, and for instance, even in real estate, at least once a month, I'll have a day where I'm like, that's it. I'll never sell another house again. I'll be in that in between spot of like, all of the deals are set up and ready to close, or they're getting ready, or the phone is quiet, and my brain will go to, I'm done. I got to go get a job at Walmart tomorrow. So then to get myself out of that, I go back and look and go, okay, well, if that's true, Bob, you've been doing this for 15 plus years. You've made a living successfully. You've been a top agent in your market. Clearly, you've been doing something right. So maybe if you just calm down, the next day, the phone will start ringing again. And invariably, the phone starts ringing again, or things start happening, or whatever. So I think it's important to remember that. It's also important to remember even just the smallest of successes, because that reminds you that you can do it, and it just builds. And again, like you said, it's persistent progress. You just keep stepping, and nothing is built overnight. It doesn't, unless you have some sort of God-given natural ability. Otherwise, you're going to have to work and work hard and do things. And even with God-given natural ability, you still have to work.
Right. Now I agree. I got to fix my camera, but I'm gonna keep on going with the questions at the time. What is the main advice that you would give someone who is facing a significant personal or professional challenge and struggling to find the resilience to overcome it?
My opinion would be, number one, work in the dark. If you're at the point where you have a plan, or you've got something that you want to do, other than your most trusted advisors, whether that be a spouse, whether that be a best friend or whatever, don't tell a soul, because you do not want that negativity creeping into your body. And it is so easy to do. It surrounds us and it permeates us. So that's the first thing I would do. The other thing, what I do is, don't waste what I call emotional capital on stuff that you can't control. In other words, you'll find in my life, I don't keep up with a lot of politics or famous people and who's fighting with who, because I don't want to spend my time worrying about who's dating who and what Biden did and what Trump did, and the world's going to come to an end, because I can't control any of that. And nobody cares what I think. So I would rather focus on the things that I can do, which is make myself better, make my friends' lives better, make my people better, make sure my circle is taken care of. Now, obviously, you have to have some amount of the big picture, but at the same time, I've never understood how people can get on Facebook and be like, well, blah, 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 Trump is the devil and blah, 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 Biden is an idiot and blah, blah, blah. Number one, it does nobody any good. Number two, you're not going to change anybody's mind. So what is the point of wasting time, energy, and negativity? So really, you just have to just stay away from all of that. And if you're in the dumps and you're down, look at other people that have been probably either in worse conditions where you have been, or who have come from behind and been successful. And the proof is that anybody can do it. And if anything, anybody that started with a leg up really has no excuse. And I'm a perfect example of that. I squandered years of my life, all of my 20s trying to be a rock and roll star and basically being a loser and a bum and partying before I got my proverbial crap together and got a real job and all of that, and go from there. So it's okay to fall. Everybody's fallen. We have so many examples of people that failed. I mean, again, going back to Jeff Bezos, started in a garage selling books on the internet and everybody thought he was an idiot, and then look at him now. That wasn't done overnight. The guy that created eBay was literally selling Pez dispensers, and then it became what it is now. I mean, that none of that happens overnight. Again, unless you're Michael Jordan or Kobe or Larry Bird, or where you've just been blessed with some sort of natural ability, or you look like Tom Cruise. I don't know about you, but I don't look like Tom Cruise, and I damn sure can't play basketball. So, and it's funny because when I was little, I wanted to be Jim Brown. I wanted to be a pro running back. That was my goal. And having a complete lack of athletic ability and being the smallest kid in class, pretty quickly you figure out you are not going to be Jim Brown, Bob. It ain't going to happen. And going back to Clifton Powell, he wanted to be Charlie Taylor, which was a famous running back for the Washington Redskins. And again, Clifton realized very quickly that he's not that big, and all of the attitude and tenacity in the world, when you're rolling up against 300-pound dudes, ain't gonna work. But you take that attitude and that tenacity and you move it someplace in a mindful way, and you can be successful.
Right. No, I definitely agree. So what role do you feel like community and support systems play in cultivating resilience and achieving transformative change?
I think it's everything, but I think you have to be willing to reach out and ask for help. And that's where I failed miserably. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. When I had the bypass, when I was slowly getting broke because I went through all my savings and went through all of that, I didn't reach out and ask for help. If I had done that, I would have saved the people that helped me more money. So if I had just had my father make one car payment, I could have stretched things out. But instead, he had to make 3 car payments so that I could get my car back. So by trying to be the man, as we have been taught to, keep your head down and don't cry and be the tough guy, I tried to do that and it failed miserably because number one, I couldn't do it because I couldn't physically get it done. And number two, I didn't mentally allow myself to ask for help, and it hurt. And it hurt me. And quite honestly, it made other people angry because I didn't ask for help. As a matter of fact, the night of the first heart attack, I was supposed to go meet some friends of mine at their house, and we were going to hang out, have a couple of beers, shoot some pool, and just a typical no BS Sunday night. Have a couple of beers, catch up with your crew, and hang out. And I didn't tell anybody I was in the hospital until 2 days later. And everybody was mad at me. And my attitude was like, well, I didn't want to ruin anybody's good time. And they're like, dummy, you're a little bit more important than me catching a buzz on a Sunday night at 8 o'clock.
Right.
All you had to do was send one text to the entire group, because it's all on a group chat anyway, and said, hey, I'm in the hospital and this is why, and I'll fill you in tomorrow. So they were legitimately mad at me. And I learned a valuable lesson, because you feel like, well, you don't want to bother people. We always feel like we're a bother, and that's not the case. And I've gotten better at being honest and saying I need help, or letting other people know it's okay to ask for help, and ping pong ideas off of people and say, hey, I'm being honest here. This is what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think? When I wanted to get into coaching and mentoring, I spoke to several people that I trust to get their opinion. And I had to be vulnerable and say, hey, whether I like it or not, I think I could be good at this. What do you think? And that's not easy to do. It's it's easy to walk into a room full of people you don't know and tell them your hopes and dreams because their opinion of you means very little. It's a lot harder to do it to people that have known you all of your life and tell them your hopes and dreams because they know you to the core. And I'm fascinated by that fact that it's harder to do that than it is to speak to a group of people you don't know. So you've got to be vulnerable and ask for that community and ask for that support and keep your eyes open to the possibilities that, hey, maybe there is support out there for me. There's all sorts of programs and things that are available. I mean, a lot of people, unfortunately, don't use libraries, and I swear by libraries. You can study in a library. You have all sorts of online opportunities in a library. They have food programs and parent programs. And heck, at worst case, you can get rid of the Rugrats for 2 hours and let them run around in the kids department and play with other kids and do story time. And God forbid mom gets an hour of peace and quiet.
Right.
You know, so you have to be willing to put yourself out there. And that's part of the beauty of the internet is because I can also do it anonymous. I can, again, if I want to be a screenwriter, I can join a screenwriter group and tell everybody my name is Rupert and throw out my screenplay. And then I'm going to know pretty quickly if I'm any good or not. And nobody even has to ever know who I am.
That's right. That's right. So what do you feel has been the most rewarding aspect of your work as a motivational speaker and life coach?
I would say it's watching people do better and get better for themselves. And I would say I'm going to be part of that is there's a little bit of selfishness that goes with that. And I think that's okay because by letting other people do well, then I do well and it inspires me and it makes me feel good. And quite honestly, that sort of feeling ping pongs back and forth. So if other people are struggling way worse than I am and they're trying to do everything in their power to succeed, then it reminds me that I need to get off my butt if I'm having a bad health day, or maybe I'm having a mentally challenging day to where I'm feeling insecure or I'm feeling like I'm less than. I know for myself, if I'm having a bad health day, it affects my mental. So if I don't feel good, then that affects my brain. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to get anything done today. And how can I sit there and say that when I know for a fact that I'm helping people that are in a way worse position than I am, or just need me to pump them up, then I in turn have to use what they're doing to my advantage and pump my own self back up. Again, it goes back to Les Brown and that never ending cycle. Or listen to your podcast or listen to another podcast that kind of goes, okay, dummy, you need to get back up and keep fighting. That's, I think, is the beauty of all of that is, again, we may never know, but somebody's out there clearly listening. Otherwise, all of these podcasts wouldn't exist, period.
Right. Right. No, I definitely agree. So a couple more questions.
And I have a tendency to be a little long-winded, so I apologize.
No, you're fine. You're fine. All that is definitely context and is much needed, so I don't like to interrupt the guests when they're talking because, it all, like I say, it's all factors into the story. It's context. And I feel like without context, you don't really have the whole story or the whole, I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly, but
the whole background on everything.
Yeah. So let's see. So do you have anything, any new exciting projects or initiatives that you're working on?
Oh, cool. I love the shameless plug. So we're going to go with that. My website, whatbobthinks.com, is up and running. I have a new book that I'm releasing. I'm working with Nicole Banks from the Niche Work. We put a book together called Want More, Take More, which is basically the tools that I use to get where I am. And I use those tools to transition from chemist to real estate agent and then recovering from my bypass and all of that. So it's basically, it's a book, it's a course, it's a video course. It's a little bit of everything. It's something that I wanted to do. And I think it shows again that it's always important to have people to bounce ideas off of, or have people that are better at you than certain aspects and can take, let's say, my word vomit and go, okay, we're going to concise it and put it into this format, or narrow it down, or Bob, maybe you should expand on what you're saying here into 2 different parts or 3 different parts. And that's the beauty of having an editor or somebody that you can bounce stuff off of. And I think that's important to do that. So the book should be coming out pretty much any time now. We're in the middle of putting a push together for that. And admittedly, I've been a little slack on my part of that. I've got some social media stuff I've got to do. I have a tendency to get a little lazy in that department sometimes, so I've got to work on that. And that's the other good part of having an editor, somebody that can kick you in the butt and go, okay, you still owe me some stuff, get it done. We're already working on book number 2, and then I've got some other little beginning projects in the works. Brian and I, and well, Brian and the team, I should say. I don't want to say I, but Brian and the team are already getting ready for the second Virginia Black Film Festival at Hampton University. We're going to continue to do that. We're eventually going to hit some of the other historically, Black colleges in Virginia and kind of, come off of that to like Norfolk University and things of that nature. So I'm excited to, just to be on the board and try to help out with that. And we're going to continue to move that along and looking forward to that. So all sorts of little things in the works that, how that goes. Sometimes they don't always come together, and sometimes we get pulled in a different direction, but it's important to have, that what I always like to call that never ending checklist of stuff I'd like to accomplish before I keel over.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I definitely would agree. So, so if anyone, wants to, book you to be a life coach, would all that information be on your website as well?
That would be on whatbobthinks.com. And I'm old school. They can catch me on any of the social medias at Bob the Agent or What Bob Thinks. And quite honestly, you can shoot me an email and I still answer my phone. Again, I'm old. So you can call me or text me at 757-403-5401. I have no problems with that. I'm weird. I'll answer the call. Even if I'm busy, I typically will call or text and say, hey, I'll call you back in 15 minutes or 20 minutes, depending on if I'm in an appointment and my phone is turned down or whatever. But I'm weird like that. I don't have any problem, offering my time. I think it's important, even if I kind of like being a facilitator too. That's fun. Like I had an Uber driver like 3 months ago was talking about wanting to get into film and stuff and didn't know anything. Yeah, I'm just sitting in the car getting a ride home, and we're chatting a little bit, and I was able to give him Brian's information. And I'm like, really? You want to get into film and stuff? Well, guess what? By you opening your mouth and telling me that, I happen to know a guy that can help you with that and point you in the right direction. And that's a lot of fun when you can just, even if it's just, here's the card, go with God, do what you're going to do. That's fun to do, to like at least help somebody else open that spot for them. I don't want anything from that, and I hope you run with it and do your best you can with it. But that's fun to do sometimes. And sometimes it can be just as simple as directing somebody into another direction. And that's everything to me.
Yeah, no, I definitely would agree. I definitely would agree with that. So is anything else that you would like to share with the audience before we wrap things up?
Again, I would say, persistent progress is everything, whether you like it or you don't. That's what you've got to do. You've got to keep working forward. And quite honestly, again, keep your mouth shut. Don't tell everybody your business. There's no point to it. I compare it to, I enjoy playing poker. And when you go to the poker table, you'll see the 70-year-old guy that was in the Navy for 30 years and doesn't talk and always wins. Or you have the 25-year-old who has the sunglasses on, the hat on, knows all the lingo, and always leaves every day $300 lighter. So he pretends he's a poker player. Do you want to pretend to be the poker player, or do you want to be the guy walking out every day with $300? Now, it's not the end and be all, but you mind your business, you do your thing, and you walk out as success. I would much rather be the quiet guy succeeding than the guy making all of the noise and an hour later walking out, and we're all sitting there when he leaves going, he'll be back tomorrow and he's going to lose another $300 because he's not learning. He's not educating himself. Yeah, he can flip those chips around and he knows all the right things to say and he can dog on somebody else's play. You're still losing. You may not look like it, but you're still losing. So the biggest thing is don't tell everybody your business until you're ready to succeed and pop out, and only speak to those that are going to support you at the end of the day. That's all that matters, because there's so much negativity in this world, unfortunately.
Yes, sir. I definitely agree with that. So everyone is watching. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We hope you got some valuable information from Bob today and everything that he says. If you guys want to reach out to him, he left you his number. You can go to his website, contact him, social media, so on and so forth. But you guys have just watched another episode of All in All with Alex, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.